Let's scoot over a little bit.
This way?
No, that way.
That way? Send to the frame.
Come a little closer.
The liquid culture.
All right.
Well, hey guys, what's up? Mitchell Chirac with the Liquid Culture here with another Texas winemaker interview. Yeah, you gotta make sure that's right. John Rivenburgh, say what's up.
What's up? Really happy to be here tasting one of my favorite grapes.
Sweet, man.
Two of my favorite grapes.
Two of your favorite grapes. We're sipping on a wine that's not really part of the overall spectrum of the video, but kind of connected to the overall spectrum of the video. What are we drinking?
This is Iodisol Viognier from the Texas High Plains. It's a nice, crisp, bright, unfiltered, unfined version of Viognier.
It's grippy. It's got some girth to it.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable.
It does. I like that. I mean, I'm a big fan of getting wines nice and clear, let Mother Nature, gravity settle things out, temperature, cold settling, and then not finding, you get a little weird, future heat stabilization things, but I think the trade-off is a big, grippy, fruit-forward wine as opposed to something that is, over-polished.
Yeah, it has really good, nice, sharp acidity with it too. Did it go through? What percentage of malolactic?
Hey, there's no percentage of malolactic fermentation in this wine. It's 100%
Cool.
out of the vineyard.
Cool. Well, John, before we get into the wines too much, tell the folks out there, run us through kind of how you got into winemaking, kind of your initial kind of toe dip into it, and then take us all the way through into what you're doing now.
Well, I mean, I wish there was some really sexy story, like I interned in France somewhere and fell in love in a vineyard.
That's not a sexy story.
That's the one that everybody always wants, right? It's either that or I was a cardiologist and I retired and started a winery. Neither of those happened to me, right? I actually joke when I retire, I'm going to go back and be a cardiologist. That's my next goal in life. That's my next
cool.
Next
You're
level.
doing it the opposite.
That's next level stuff, right?
Okay.
Because I'm figuring that I'm going to need that money to be able to retire. Actually,
Sure.
That's the goal. That's the game plan. It seems like a reasonable game plan.
Or you can just build a house of bottles of wine.
Yeah,
not so sturdy, but.
But no, in reality, my former father-in-law, Bob Young, from Bending Branch, and I. Both had a really great love of wine, and when he would come and visit here in Texas, he was consistently surprised by the quality of wines. But he and I both thought we could do something a little elevated, right?
Sure.
Or help to maybe elevated is not the right phrase, but help to build off the foundations that have already been started in the state.
Kind of grow the states.
Grow what was happening, right? And so we started researching varietals and styles, and kind of quickly fell in love with the wines out of Paso Robles, Tablas Creek, and Collins' stuff at Lone Madrone, and so we, started to do more research. And at that time, I was really I just wanted to grow grapes. I hadn't had any inclination towards the winemaking other than the stuff I was making in my garage. And for distillation. So we we put in a little test vineyard. A little test vineyard did pretty well, and I kind of dragged my feet. And then, long story short, one day, Bob hit me right on a Christmas vacation, and he was like, "I think we should do this. I think we should really make a run at this." And I said, "Okay, man." So literally, okay, man.
Deal.
You're okay, man. But 2 months later, I was on a bulldozer, you know, in the vineyard on some property we had in Comfort, building the first vineyard.
So was the Comfort property already there, or was it like a purchase with the intent of putting?
It was a purchase with the intent of putting a vineyard in. Yeah.
Cool.
And so, you know, we started growing varietals like Peak Pool. I mean, I think we were probably one of the first folks in the state to plant it. Actually, I know we were the first people in the state to plant it.
Don't be modest.
I know for sure we were the first people to plant it. We also got some planted up in the High Plains. And then, you know, varietals like Tanat, of course. You know, Charbono, Bonarda, which is really, there was always been, we could do a whole other thing on that. I have some interesting insights on those things. Sagrantino, Petit Syrah. We were kind of right behind the curve on Morved, what that Boys and High were doing, and I always loved those wines. And so,
so you guys weren't chasing the Bordeaux varietals. You were trying to do something unique that you thought fit best for the state.
Completely different. I mean, quite honestly, we sat down and we looked at everything Texas was doing, and we wrote down another list that was completely contrarian to everything that Texas was doing at the time. Like
now, well, so was that because you wanted to try and differentiate a little bit, or because you knew that these grape varietals would probably fare well in Texas climate and soil?
Both.
Okay.
Both, right. We wanted to set ourselves apart. We specifically put the first vineyard and tasting room and winery in an area where we could differentiate ourselves from what was happening kind of in the Fredericksburg area by design,
sure,
because we were going to do things completely different. And so we were hedging these bets based on like where these varietals grow, how they make them, which is really funny because around the world, most of these varietals are like, they're minor varietals. They're not exciting. People, you know, you can buy a $1 Pic Bull Blanc in Paris, right? Because
sure,
it's the Coors Light of
it's
it's the Coors Light of wines in France, right? But here it's like it's new and exciting.
Yeah,
and it's interesting. And so I think that Pic Bull for me was one that was just I was totally taken with because of like Tanat, the variability in how you can produce it, right? Like you're not pigeonholed. Like Sauvignon Blanc, you kind of you got to make a Sauvignon Blanc, right? Like it's got to be that.
Unless
sour.
you're skin contacting it, it's like it's coming out acidic, crisp, grassy.
Exactly. Right. And so, but people, and we'll have examples of those today too, because like mine is orange. The Rivenburgh brand is orange. It was done skin contact in bin with a red wine fermentation protocol. So,
cool.
You know, it's much different than these other than the other wine, the other people we're tasting today, or the Viognier for that matter. So, you know, moving forward, you know, had my life and time at Bending Branch, and exciting that, you know, that was such a success, right, for my career. Early on, my mentor basically pulled me aside and said, man, you need to be making wine too. Like, you've got like a natural intuition for this. And, you know, I kind of like, you know, well, I don't know, man.
Well, gosh.
Well, no. Gee. Yeah. And so I started kind of like, you know, kicking into gear and taking over some of the fermentations and you know, and doing some different things, and yeah, he was right, you know, and under his guidance, I learned a lot of things and excelled, and I've done a lot of weird things. I've made a lot of mistakes, but you don't succeed unless you make mistakes, right? And you know, you know, the winemakers that say they've never gotten it wrong, right? They're either not making wine or somebody else is actually doing it for them.
Sure.
And so, you know, moving forward, after I left Bending Branch, I started doing some consulting and helping people's dreams come true, if you will. It's the dream weaver,
yes,
in a way.
Yes, indeed.
And
dream weaver.
Yes, passing strangers. Thank you, San Antonio. And so that's where it's from.
Okay, yeah,
Yes,
no, I'm not gonna call you.
I'm old. They played at my prom. And so, you know, I've been very blessed to work with some really amazing people over the last 5 years, and then this past year, 19, had the opportunity to purchase Kerrville Hills Winery. Wayne and Kel Milberger, they've done a fantastic job building a foundation here, you know, and we're just ready to do other things, play with the grandkids, go on vacation. And so they kind of gave me an opportunity and made me a deal to buy the winery that I quite honestly couldn't refuse.
Sure.
And was able to start in motion this kind of cool lifestyle co-op thing we've got going here, right? It's more like a family than it is, you know, co-op.
Yeah.
We've got the Abasters family, obviously. We've got the Nara family, Dr. and Dr. Nara, and their fantastic vineyard and all the beautiful sustainable things that they're wanting to do in their vineyard. And then we've got Nikhil and Greg Davis, who is started Colossi Cellars, and their vision for what they're doing is extraordinary. And I'm every day kind of amazed by the drive and approach that they have to that. You know, the Nara Vineyards, we're doing a brand called Antima. Antima in Telugu is like final project or ultimate project.
Oh.
Or ultimate or final, not I added project. I Americanized it.
Sure.
But that is their, you know, this is kind of their big last final thing. And I've been super excited that I get to kind of go back to my roots of farming, and I've been very lucky that they let me help them in a small way with the vineyard. And we've worked towards doing some pretty interesting sustainable things. Like we've got this year we'll have come to fruition the vision of getting 100% herbicide free in the vineyard.
Oh, cool.
And the Naros have gone through great lengths and great expense to mechanize a lot of the undervine weed work that we do up there, and so that's pretty exciting that we'll have our first season without herbicide in the vineyard. Not to mention their push for advancements in technologies. They've got one of the best harvesters. It's got the neatest technology on it, you know, for destemming and stuff like that. So the future here is really bright. Like, I'm gonna keep making some funky stuff. I feel like this has been a reinvigoration for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting to do some pretty amazing and interesting things.
Yeah.
It's also kind of fun. I won't say it in front of them, but it's really fun to watch these guys flourish and learn.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
On occasion, it's nice
Yeah.
to come behind them and go, "No, man, you did that." and then they roll your eyes at you, and then they taste it, and you walk away, and they're like, "Oh, why does he got to be right?" But like, I've been just totally tickled pink by like what the folks around me have learned and have grown, and I hope someday that I'm like learning things from them, just, you know, like my mentor did for me, and you know, so it's exciting. So we're here now, Kerrville Hills Winery, man.
Awesome.
Like, we're gonna start doing it.
Yeah, man. No, I'm excited for what you guys have going on here. I mean, you essentially have you basically purchased a giant test kitchen, you know, with a bunch of people, and then stocked it with a bunch of folks who are excited about cooking. You know,
that's exactly right. Yeah, I couldn't put that better myself. Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's always fun to come out and you know, on days in which, you know, I have an opportunity to come out and help you guys, whether it be bottling or you know, if we're coming out to shoot something or whatever, it's always a lot of fun to come out here and see the team in action. It seems like, you know, they've got you know, Generalissimo here behind the scenes, but I mean, it seems like you've got these guys kind of teached up to where I'll show up and they're all like doing shit, and they're, you know, going after it, and they all you know, look like they've been doing it for 30 years, and you know, which is cool, especially, you know, seeing an old brother-in-law in there, you know, kicking ass.
He's really coming to his own, man. Yeah, like I feel like sometimes I'm like, you know, I almost feel like the parent that has like a teenager that's about to like go to college, and it's like, they don't need me. Like I come in and I'm like, what's this do? You know, like,
yeah,
let's make this work.
You're already having like empty nest syndrome.
In a way, yeah, in a way. But they, you know, then they throw you a bone and they're like, hey, I really want you to, like, I want you to taste this, make sure, you know,
that I'm doing things right. Yeah. Well, it's funny that so I actually picked this California version of Pick Pool, not knowing that at Bending Branch you guys had a background in winemaking with grapes from Paso.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So the wine that I just poured for us here is Adelaida Anna's Estate 2015 Pick Pool Blanc from the Adelaida district in Paso Robles, which is central coast of California. 100% Pick Pool Blanc. It definitely has a like California like vibe going on with it. Like the color, the nose, everything about it. Like smells like Cali. You know, it's got a little bit of that buttery kind of characteristic going on with it, which
Well,
like you said, I mean, Pick Pool can be done in so many different styles.
Yeah, but I think that's I think that's indicative of the Peak Pool like structure, right? Like even though a lot of folks here are making it really bright and sharp and super crisp, even in them doing that, I still think that overwhelming like superstructure of Pic Pool Blanc is showing through. That's why they use Pic Pool and Sauvignon Blanc in France, right, to build that superstructure of the wines. And so I think that it shows through. This is
really good wine.
This is really good. Yeah. This is a really good representation of like what Peak Pool is, right? Like because the balance of that structure. We used to tell people at Bending Branch all the time, and I still use this. I mean, Peak Pool Blanc is a white wine for red wine drinkers.
Yeah, no,
it has the complexity in the palate. It has the structure in the palate that most other white wines just don't create for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other varietals out there that we'll see someday that are similar.
Similar,
probably.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe so.
Maybe.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I don't know.
Not today.
Not today. No, we won't see them today. We won't see them today, but we may see them in the future.
We may.
We might. Probably.
Probably will.
Most likely.
Yeah.
There's a 60% of chance that it'll work every time.
Right. It's looking at it's 14.8 alcohol, and it shows it. It's not afraid to in the glass. It's not afraid to tell you that there's some alcohol in here, but it's like it goes back to like you said, superstructure. I think is a really good term to use here because it is. It's like we drank this wine. Man, it was probably like 3 years ago that we were in Paso, and I bought this bottle at Adelaida. And have held on to it since then. Yeah. And I mean, 2015. This is a really, really nice wine.
That just shows you like the structure of Peak Pool and how well it'll hold up. I mean, this wine's awesome.
So for these guys hear me yell at them all the time about what grapes are and talk their ears off about what grapes are. So maybe you can tell them what Pick Pool is, where it's kind of known globally and what it's used for.
Pic Pool Blanc, traditionally, Pic Pool d'Épinay, en Languedoc. It was, oddly enough, Napoleon's favorite wine.
Big brawny.
Yeah. It is traditionally in Europe used as a blending grape.
Sure.
Which has been really funny. Like in my career, most all these grapes that I've like championed or worked with that people start to geek out of are really well known inside the industry as like builders and binders, right? Again, superstructure. So I mean, this grape is grown in droves in southern France to be used in Sauvignon Blanc to build Chardonnay. They just don't put it on the label.
Sure.
Right. And so, like I said earlier, you can find a Pic Pool d'Esprit, which is bright and almost effervescent for €2 in Paris, which is $6 or whatever.
Yeah.
And they make killer wines. Almost nobody makes them because it's primarily a blending grape.
Sure.
Throughout the world.
Sure.
I honestly don't know. I don't know what other regions are growing Pic Pool Blanc.
Is it one of the allowable Chateauneuf grapes?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Southern Rhone.
Yes.
So, but it'll be used down there with like Marsanne and Roussanne as well.
Right.
Viognier.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But traditionally, they put it a lot in Sauv Blanc. I mean, it's because it's that, you taste it, it builds it up, right? Because Sauv Blanc, you know, in mass production gets super thin, super watery, fast. The easiest thing to do is put something in there to just build that structure back up.
For sure. And this, I mean, yeah, this would definitely do that. I mean, I don't know. We tried to find a pig pool that, like from Old World, that was like predominantly pig pool, but kind of hard to come across. It's not. Yeah.
It's impossible. I tried, looked and looked.
But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if it tastes any different in the Old World than it does in this first example. And obviously, I've had, you know, many bottles of your wine, and I'm curious to ultimately find one of these days.
The ones that I have had, that are French pig pools are generally super crisp, super bright, and it's a heavy acid hanger.
Oh yeah.
Right. So we can, like, that's another reason why it just does so well here is it starts with more acid.
Sure.
Right? Like it retains and doesn't lose acid in our hot climate like most other white grapes do.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, this Vermentino, and there's a couple new varietals that are growing out there that I think are in that same kind of category, same kind of vein.
Yeah.
I think this just has more overall structure to the wine than those others, right? I think those others give you bright, crisp lemon.
Yeah.
Bright, crisp lemon.
Yep.
This, you've just got nuance, right? And also the viability, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
15.
Yeah, 15. If
It's kinda
15,
crazy,
it's
isn't
the
it?
acidity is still, you know, razor sharp with
Yeah.
it. I mean, that was it. This has been a fun wine to drink just because it's like, yeah, I mean, you originally get hit with that acidity. You're like, whoa, there's something vibrant and bright and crisp. But then it's like, wait a second, like mid palate finish is like,
Check this
what's
out.
going
And
on?
age, I've always loved this about pig pool, and people always tell me I'm nuts, but you will not, because you have a really great palate.
Thanks, man.
Like, hey, give it, like,
Listen to this guy.
close your eyes. Cotton candy at a carnival.
Cotton candy, sweet and roll.
I'm telling you, man, it's nuts, dude. This wine is always during fermentation, right? Like, so you know my philosophies on fermentation and not drinking finished wine during fermentation. You know, I only drink fermentation, you know, stage wines during harvest. I don't drink any finish because I don't want to confuse my palate for production versus aging and what have you. But this wine in fermentation always, first 1/3 lag face smells like cotton candy at a county fair to me.
And it smells like it now.
Which is cool because it's like one of the few things that carries over in this wine. And this being a 15, it just like, it like warms my heart because it's one of my favorite things about this wine. Because you get that, you get that overwhelming, like, sweet cotton candy, cherry, strawberry, but then you put it to your mouth and there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing that says sweet, cherry, cotton candy, strawberry.
No, it's sharp but it's sharp but like buttery at the same time, which is like, cool. But there's no sweet candy stuff.
Right. It's like the greatest sleight of hand trick ever, right? Like, oh, we're going to draw you in with this amazing nose, and then we're going to wow you with how fantastic the structure of this palate is.
Yeah, it's like when I stick my nose in it, now that you've mentioned that, it's like that scene in Ratatouille where he's trying to get his brother to like taste things and he closes his eyes and you see all these like colors popping. I just have the like bright pink and blue fluffy cotton candy like popping around in my head right now.
I'm telling you, this is one of the favorite things I've ever had about this wine. It's one of the crazy things I've always loved about Pic Pool Blanc. And I've had people tell me that I'm like totally crazy, which not just because of this, but in general. But like I pick those things up, and I think those are the nuances that come from like being involved in fermentation as opposed to just tasting wines post fermentation. And it's one of the things about this wine that carries over. Tannat, it's cherry snow cone during fermentation. Every time. Like, I know if we're getting cherry snow cone through the beginning of fermentation, when we go from like lag into like full fire fermentation, if we're getting cherry snow cone or like cherry snow cone with like a ice cold Coca-Cola, I know that wine's going to be smoking later.
Awesome.
And so,
sweet
kind of thing.
Well, that's one of the things that one of the many reasons why I'm like super stoked that my in-laws have started a winery is that my palate has, I mean, absolutely leveled up in that I've been able to taste wines that have, you know, taste juice before it ferments, taste wines right after they've finished fermenting, taste them right when they go into barrel, taste them right after they come out of barrel, taste them right when they've been bottled, taste them 6 months after bottling. And it's really, really cool to be able to train your palate to like pick up. I remember the first time we were in Austin, and I don't remember if you were at the house, but they had the sample bottles of like one of the first vintages like we had made that like had just come through fermentation, and I think it was honestly maybe the 16 vintage had just come through fermentation, and we were tasting it right to determine what we thought it needed from a barrel perspective, you know, French, American, neutral, how much, all that. And I remember tasting it and thinking, this is so different. Like this is so different than anything that I've like ever tasted wine wise before. And honestly, I was like, is this gonna be like a good wine? Like, I don't know. I've never tasted anything in this stage of winemaking. And then like tasting that wine like later on was like, oh shit, yeah, it is a good wine. And really cool to see how it changed over that, you know, time period.
And that's honestly been one of the hardest things of the years is working with people is like, well, we want to taste it now. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to tell you it's going to taste weird. Like, it's going to taste weird. Like,
it's not, this is not a finished wine.
You're probably not going to like it.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, some people do, some people don't. Like, and it's hard to explain, like, it's hard to say, trust me. Okay, it's gonna be good in 18 months, I promise, you know. And
you spent a lot of money on this, and we got a lot of time until it's done, but trust me.
Wow, that still looks pretty.
Okay, this has like a fresh cut grass aroma to it, to me, which I don't remember it having the last time I drank a bottle of this.
Me neither. That's badass.
I mean, like we talked about this we all sat down and did a Mourvedre tasting last night, and we talked about how the wines just like changed and changed and changed just over the course of sitting there for 2 hours. And they would change and change and change. And when I shot a video with Henry, we talked about how wine is so cool because it's a snapshot in time, not only in the vintage, and how you taste that wine when it's been, you know, freshly bottled and you're tasting it in its current release, but then years later, you know, 6 months later, 8 months later, a year later, you know, the wine's gonna change, and it's always gonna kind of surprise you every time you open a bottle, I think. Or at least wines that have not been made in a house style that are intended to taste the same every single year and every time you open the bottle.
Which I've never been able to do. Even when I've tried to make wines taste like they tasted multiple, you need to take that? I'm kidding.
No.
I'm sorry, am I interrupting you?
You have someplace to be?
You have someplace to be?
Apologies. We just got to make sure that, you know, we got backup audio that's still recording here.
This is a liquid culture.
Yes, it is.
Wow, I'm so tickled right now. If I cuss on your thing, I'm sorry, because this is...
Dude, I mean, my grandma hates it, but I mean, I try and stay hip with the young crowd, so cussing is, you know...
I mean, is cussing really hip with the young crowd? I mean, I've always been a trendsetter, so if it's hip, then I'm not going to cuss.
Dang.
Blew your mind, right? It's like me going to a show in Austin, and I wasn't in skinny jeans with square glasses on and a handlebar mustache, and some kid was like, "Dude, you're
postmodern, bro.
You're not even cool, bro." And I was like, "He's like, you're a sheep bound by society's rules of coolness." And I was like, "Really? Because you guys all look the same."
You look the same.
Who's the sheep, little Baba Black Sheep? I'm sorry, I forgot my handlebar mustache in the car.
But he is still rocking his Meow Wolf wristband from Santa Fe like 3 months ago.
That is the coolest place I've ever been in my life. We won't talk about that. We don't talk about Meow Wolf.
We don't talk about Meow Wolf on camera.
If you haven't been to Meow Wolf Liquid Culture, you need to go to Meow Wolf.
Go to Meow Wolf. All right, tell us about this wine. Not about your experience at Meow Wolf.
Oh man, People Blanc from Andy Timmons Vineyard. So I talked Andy Timmons into planting People Blanc in like, shit, I don't know. I want to say 2012 or 2013. We could probably text him and ask him. I don't remember exactly when it was. And
at Timmins Estate, right?
Timmins Estate, yeah.
Not one of the many other Timmins run vineyards.
Right. And so this is in in Lubbock, at Timmins Estate. And when I found out that he and Kim McPherson and I were all getting one of the first vintages out of this vineyard, I very quickly kind of changed my strategy on the winemaking. Not to sound like the old guy that was like, back when, but back when,
sure,
I was already getting into, because of my time spent in California, I was already getting into some like orange wines. And so 14, I think I made my first skin contact white. 15, I did full native yeast skin contact fermentation, bed fermentation on this Pico Blanc. So this is a 100% native yeast, skin contact, 3 punch down a day. We still used Go Firm. We still used Fermado to mobilize the fermentation.
Mobilize the troops.
Mobilize the troops. Keep the little yeasties going in the right direction.
Keep the yeasties boys
keep
going.
them happy.
Yeah.
Because with those native yeast, man, they'll get funky real fast, right? So it's like a constant babysitting. It's not.
And they'll stop on you too, right?
Oh yeah. So it's literally, whereas like you put QA23 in a white wine, you can quite honestly like set the temperature on the tank, walk away, and in a month it's like, oh, hey, this shit is dry.
We have wine.
This is awesome. We have wine. It's like, like set it and forget it. We could do like an infomercial on it, right?
Yeah.
But with doing a native yeast fermentation in bin, it's hectic, right? It's almost like too hectic.
Yeah.
This wine was like, we checked it in the morning, we checked it in the afternoon. Constant temperature checking, constant yeast checking, taste, smell, making sure that everything was like doing what it needed to do. Damn, should have locked that door. And so.
Good morning to you too, sir. It's a pleasure to see you as well. I'm gonna walk over and shake this guy's hand.
Fucking farmers. I love you, Jim Mills.
And the only one that matters.
Yeah, right. Damn.
I'm gonna have to stop that bottling going on back there. There you go. That's what happens in a winery.
Working winery.
Working winery.
We do make. There is wine being made here.
Currently. We So this, honestly, I'm flabbergasted by this wine and how well it's held up.
It's crushing.
I hadn't tasted this wine in a long time.
I didn't even say what the vintage
It's a
is.
16.
16?
Yeah.
Check it out. Rad label, drawn by the man himself, right?
That's my signature.
There it is.
It's JR. It was kind of a funny, like, I was trying to do my namesake, which, everybody kept telling me you need to do a namesake, and I was trying to do something different. And I was working with a graphic designer in Sacramento, and finally she sent me that. And after like 20 renditions of like different JRs or different Rs, and I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is perfect. She goes, well, it should be. All I did was blow up your little initial. Like all I did was blow up your little initial that you would proof everything over the last 10 years for Bidding Branch and for everything else you've been doing. And so that's where that came from. And then all the spot varnish and all that stuff. But
yeah,
I'm kind of speechless, Mitch. I haven't had this wine, and it's like I got a bunch of it sitting in the back,
ready to pop.
That I haven't that I took off the menu at another venue, and I'm so pleasantly surprised by where this wine is right now.
I mean, and I don't think it worked out perfect. The two different bottles here, because you still have this same nice lingering fresh acidity, but definitely different flavor profiles. Like this one is more kind of light, fresh, floral, herbal, grassy, whereas this one was more
dense.
That buttery, dense kind of thing. And wow, that's awesome.
I don't know.
Good job, man.
I'd take the Pepsi challenge with that Adelaide any day of the week, dude.
Let's get a little more of that.
Holy shit.
So with your, I mean, you've talked a little bit in regard to like this wine and what you did with this wine. So, do you, as a winemaker, I mean, and again, you make wine for not only yourself, but you know, for a lot of other folks as well. Right. So obviously, those other folks are going to have some input on what they want their finalized product to be. But as far as a winemaker, I mean, do you have kind of a specific kind of ethos that you like to maintain not only in your wines and in other people's wines? Is it more prevalent in your wines than it is in other people's wines, or are they asking to work with you because they like your ethos with your wines and they want you to impart that on their wines?
Shit, man. I don't
Long-winded
That's
question.
I mean, I would like to think that people like working with me for several different reasons. Like for what I bring to the table and experience in winemaking, and like also business operations. And my ethos in winemaking is always evolving, dude. Like it's constantly been evolving. And like currently, I've been completely blown away with like some new styles and things that we're doing. And so I don't know, man. I think some people are drawn to me because of the like maybe the name and experience that I have. I think some people are drawn to me because of my personality and how I approach wines and just working with me. And I think some people are drawn to me just because they like the general wines that we make, right? Mm-hmm. We were talking last night with Tony Smith at Astor's Winery.
Father-in-law.
And in that conversation last night, like one of the greatest things that I've taken away from the wine business is all my years at Bending Branch, and then all the other great wineries that I've helped to start. People like the number one consistent thing is, you know, we really like all these wines, you know, and we went down the street and we liked 2 or 3 wines, and we kind of liked 1 or 2 wines, but like we like all of these wines. And it's not like I've never done anything on purpose to create that. Like it's not like I'm like, I want to create crowd pleasers through every wine, right?
Right.
My mentality and ethos behind wines is, if fruit comes in, this is going to sound real hippie, but like,
no,
I just,
with it.
I just
they want to hear it. They want to hear it.
I just kind of let like what comes in be what we do.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't try to pound a square peg in a round hole, mm-hmm. right? Like people thought the first cab I made from Newsom's that won the first double gold in Texas was insane because we made it in a super bright, fresh, fruity, you know, almost a Pinot style. And
Pinot style to not,
huh? And oh no, I'm sorry, Cabernet. And
Cabernet, yeah, okay.
And so, you know, my ethos is like, let the fruit guide what you're doing, right? And if you're into something, you know, be cool about it. You know, like I made my first natural wine in 2011. It was 100% Tannat Cabernet co-fermentation rosé. It was the first High Plains rosé. That's cool. And it was 100% native, 100% natural, no sulfite, didn't even use a Go Firm or a Kickstarter, nothing. I mean, it was 100% on its own active fermentation.
Let it be.
Let it be. Funky and weird, and nobody understood it. And I don't know, they probably still are trying to sell it. but now, you know,
well, hey, drop it off at a retail spot in Austin, it'll go.
But now that's everybody's like thing, right? No, it's been long gone. I mean, I know I'm joking. But like now that's like the whole new thing, right? So my ethos behind winemaking is simple. It's keep it simple.
Yeah.
Right? Don't brain bust it, right? It's like when you're a chef, right? You cook. You're really great in the kitchen. The more
you're complimenting me too much on camera. I'm here to do that to you, okay?
Whatever, dude. So we'll talk about your mustache later. So I'm just jealous. I don't have the chin for it.
Back to complimenting me.
Back to complimenting me. No. In reality, like the whole, I forgot where we were going with this.
Something about cooking.
So if you take a dish, right, and you're making whatever, a stew or a pasta or a sauce of some sort where you're adding ingredients, right? And I'm sure there's been a point where you've like monkeyed with a marinara to the point where it's like, shit, this is no longer marinara, or it tastes weird, or I got to do this to fix it to make it taste like what it is. Winemaking's just like cooking in that regard. And I just personally feel the more you monkey with the wine, the more it comes through in the finished product,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't always make it what the world thinks it should be,
Sure.
right? But it doesn't make it wrong.
Sure.
So keeping it simple, keeping it direct, and letting the fruit and the wine and Mother Nature and time dictate what that flavor comes out as is my ethos,
Yeah.
right? That's how I feel. Like, I'm totally stupid, blown away by this wine right now because I haven't had this wine in probably 2 years. And I'm like, I got 2 pallets of it sitting in the back that's probably going to go on the menu this afternoon because I'm so...
You're welcome.
I'm so fucking...
John did not provide this wine, by the way. I brought this wine from my cellar, so you're welcome.
Yeah, holy shit. You got a good cellar. It's got magic touch. That's so
Keep it at that right humidity and temperature, man.
Man, oh my God.
If it's good for cigars, it's good for wine.
Yeah. I don't smoke. I'm not a smoker. That's okay.
I forgot about that.
More for you.
I tried to force one on you one time.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. And I didn't. I was politely.
You politely declined.
I politely declined.
And
yeah.
Mike and I sat out in freezing cold weather and smoked
smoked-
ours, and,
yes.
and we're like, man, why are we smoking these right now?
Maybe
Way too
Rivenburgh's
cold
onto
that
something.
area.
Maybe Rivenburgh's onto something. But no, I'm like.
No, I'm
But color-wise,
yeah.
like color-wise, that's so people, right? Like, I love the fact that. Oh shit, we need more glasses.
Yeah. Well, this one was definitely more, I think, more so that kind of dark, rich expression, whereas this one has that. It almost takes on a bit of a green.
Well, and I think that's probably the native. I think that's probably the bin fermentation or the skin contact. This was like super orange when we first put it in the bottle.
Yeah, and yeah.
Like super orange.
Yeah.
Which
here
to
she
me
comes.
is amazing that it's
The off-camera hand.
Thank you, Kelly.
Just poke your face in front of the lens real quick and say what's up.
You gotta say good morning.
Morning.
So look, I mean, they're not. The craziness is they're not far.
Damn, you're right, actually.
They're not far at all. Like, I know you guys hate that like my hue eye kills you guys when we taste, and you guys are like, no, that's way darker than that one. No, it's not. They're the same.
I would say that it has the same, like, it would be on the same exact, like, segment of a color wheel.
Absolutely, but this is much denser gold.
Yeah.
The Adelaide is much.
Yes.
Adelaide is much denser gold.
Especially around the rim.
Yeah.
Not so much in, like, the center, but, yeah, looking at the rim there for sure.
So, and I think that's just people, right? I mean, I think just people just throws like this smoking.
The Adelaide, now that I'm smelling it, it has a little flinty like character to it too,
Yeah, it does.
along with that kind of cotton candy thing. Here, I'm gonna switch my hands to match up with your hands.
Adelaide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh well, shit. Now yours has a little yours has a little smokiness too. That's weird. I'm telling you, I smell this one. There's a little like almost like a firecracker like smokiness in yours, because it's like flinty rock on this one, and then yours has a little.
Oh yeah.
You get that? Yeah. What do people call that? Like reductive? Is that a bad word? I don't know.
I wouldn't call it reductive.
Okay, I don't know.
It just doesn't seem reductive to me. Reductive's not a bad word, but it doesn't seem reductive to me.
But I've heard people say that like that smoky.
It smells like the 1st of July. It smells like the 1st of January morning. Like when you come outside, it's
and with all the like
I'm joking. It's not that strong.
No,
It's not
I
a
love
full
that.
blown.
No, it's not a full blown like a firecracker just went off, but there's definitely some kind of
faint
like a
hue. Yeah.
smoke character. Oh man, that's cool. I'm excited to. We'll let these glasses kind of sit, and then we'll go do some of the other stuff that we have to do, and then we'll come back. I'm excited to see kind of what happens. And two, we're drinking these at like practically room temperature, which is, you know, for drinking white wines when you're trying to discern things. I mean, it's the best way to drink them.
Well, and I mean, I'm shit too. I really I respect the hell out of this winery in Paso, and
For that longevity.
And I mean, but shit, like my simple little Texas peak pool is
The old country Texan.
Country mouse come show the
people
city
make
mouse.
some good wine around these parts.
Yeah, I didn't even have to ride my horse to the vineyard.
Well, yeah, because you live on property, like all us country folk do.
That's true. Yeah. But no, like I mean, my first peak pool I ever made was at a Hall Ranch in Paso Robles, thanks to Don Brady. And shit, like I've always like. Okay, so when you've been doing this as long as I have, you've had a lot of history with a lot of other winemakers, a lot of other places, a lot of other things, and quite honestly, like I'm somewhat flattered to myself right now that my wines are holding themselves against such a great example of Pico Blanc out of California. I'm totally stoked by that.
And then a really badass, like, sub-AVA of a badass AVA within a badass area of California.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I'm super select. Very, very small group of people. Like, I mean, there's probably only like 30 people in the country that are making Pico Blanc.
Yeah.
And I mean, out of the guys here in the state, until the Los Piro Vineyard came on, Bending Branches, Los Piro Vineyard, Peak Pool is a smoke show. It's awesome. That the Colgates grow. There's probably, I mean, there's only like 2, maybe 3 other sources for Peak Pool
In Texas?
In Texas.
Did Andy continue the experiment of leaving it and letting it? Are people still? Is he making Peak Pool?
He's making Peak Pool for his label for Lost Straw.
For Lost Straw.
Yeah, sorry, dog. Andy, if you see this, you know what I know, Mister.
Well, okay, so actually, good segue.
So can I use your platform to call people out? Like,
You can.
You know what I know. What I know, you know. Well, we both know.
We both know, and that they don't know,
That
but
they
we
don't know. Where you should be loving. I love you, Andy Timmons. We have the same birthday, by the way.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Me, Andy Timmons, Tim Drake over at Slate Mill,
Okay.
and Brock Estes, all May 25th.
Powerhouse birthday.
Boom.
Big time.
Wait for the big Memorial Day bash that's going to start.
Damn. I'm trying to get Brock on the sketch. Trying to get Brock on camera too.
Just have Mike call him.
Yeah, Michael convince him.
Mike.
No, I think I've got him. I think I've got him lined up. We just have to make sure Catherine doesn't give birth before then. So, cool segue. So we were talking about how select this Adelaida is in terms of its like AVA to sub-AVA, and we're narrowing down. I mean, this pick pool could kind of be considered, I mean, people don't think of it right now, but I mean, if you think about the Texas AVA, I mean, we're in the state of Texas, we're producing some pretty damn good wine here. High Plains AVA, and you know, the Timmons Estate. Pretty soon, I would imagine that all those kind of like stuff in like Brownfield and all that area are going to be sub-AVA at some point. And so that kind of leads me...
Go ahead. Sorry, finish what you're saying.
What?
No, finish what you're saying.
I was going to say, that leads me into my question for you of, that's kind of self-serving question, because that's one of the things that I think needs to happen for Texas wines to be taken a little bit more seriously nationally. But where do you see the Texas wine industry right now? How has it like evolved from when you got into Texas wine, and what do you think needs to be done to continue to kind of bolster this industry and make it more kind of well-known nationally? My reasoning for this question is that I am constantly studying for wine exams, and it really pisses me off that in the book there's stuff about California and as there should be, Washington, Oregon, even Virginia and New York, but not even a paragraph about the fact that wine is being made in Texas. And, you know, that really kind of frustrates me.
Fuck them, dude. I mean, seriously, like, here's the deal. Like, from when I started to now, our wines are exponentially better, right? I think that in that first 5-6 years of my career, we were game changers, man. Like, we were game changers. You had the old guard that were making basic wines so they could entertain people, right? They weren't making
with forced varietals.
With forced
trying
varietals,
to please a palate.
Trying to please a palate, which I do have a follow up to this a little later because I had kind of an aha moment at the symposium, the Texas symposium. I'll tell that story about myself and Bill Blackman, where I had to like basically apologize in front of 4 or 5 people about something he told me 8 years ago that I told him he was old and wrong. And now that I'm the old guy, like I had to apologize because he was right. But so I think that, I mean, we've gone, I think that I would love to think that Bob and I were like front runners in pushing the boundaries of what Texas could be varietal wise, winemaking wise, quality and style wise, right? And I think that along with us, there were other people working equally as hard and doing as great a job at the same time, which was, and that was the first time in the history of wines that in Texas that people were really trying to go the extra mile, right? For quality, not necessarily for wines that they could just entertain with at a very busy tasting room. Right?
Okay.
I think that, Bill and Chris were like, back in the day, man, it was like me, Chris, Doug Lewis, Benjamin Calais, all out at Newsom's in the middle of the night. We were the ones grinding it out all the time, right? You saw the same 4 or 5 guys. And we were the ones up there, like, trying to make quality be quality. It wasn't about quantity. It wasn't about making... It wasn't about making a product that we could just sell quick. It was about making the best wine, right? Yeah. And we didn't care, like, if the rest of the world gave a shit, right? And so I think that foundation of exuberance, Seth Martin was another one. He was doing it at his place in Kingsland. Like, I'm sure I'm going to forget somebody, but like those are the guys that hand down day in and day out were the guys that I was running with, 10, 11 years ago, trying to make wines from Texas that were badass, not necessarily what the world thought they should be, right? And so I think that those guys and myself spurred a very exciting advancement in quality.
Yeah.
Right? And then behind us, now you have this whole other layer of like amazing folks that are like, oh my God, we're gonna go to quality, right? Like, we can do this, right? And so you've got layers upon layers of great winemakers now that were some simultaneously, some have come behind us, some were making pretty pedestrian wines and went, crap, we need to do, step it up, right?
Yeah.
Raise the bar.
Well, competition, breeds better quality.
Exactly, right? If they're talking about you, they're leaving somebody else alone. Story of my life. and so, I think we're at a place where, where 7 years ago, 8 years ago, there was, let's call it 10 producers that were really going after it. David Colkin, dude, I can't believe I forgot David. David was up there from the beginning.
He was with me. He was with you at Meow Wolf, and you just left him out.
He was with me at Meow Wolf, yeah. That's probably why I forgot. Because that place is crazy. If you haven't been to Meow Wolf, go to Meow Wolf. Anyway, they don't pay me for that.
No, I know. Nobody pays us for anything.
Yeah, they give me a
camera.
wristband.
Right.
They give me a wristband. But no, I think that right now, I differ from a lot of other folks in the fact that like everybody wants this national recognition, right? I could give a shit about national recognition.
Sure.
We're the largest. We're the largest wine consumer of any state.
Yeah.
In the country, we should be selling wines. We should be changing the mindset of our Texas wine drinkers. And if we change the mindset of our Texas wine drinkers, guess what? Guess who cannot deny what we do? New York, California, Chicago. They can't deny what we do. Yeah. If we change the mindset of the wine drinkers in Texas, and the wine drinkers in Texas, everywhere they go, because we're the only ones that travel, because we consistently are the only ones with any money, we will change the whole dynamic of what wines are outside the world. Now, I love that my friends are putting their neck out there, and they're putting their money out there, and they're going, and they're putting wines in New York, they're going out, and they're putting wines up in the Northwest, and people are starting to realize that we're making great wines. I personally think that we just need to keep our nose to the grindstone, continue to make super smoking wines like this that can compete with anything else that comes out anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
And we change the mindset of our Texas wine drinkers first.
Yeah.
Including our Somm community.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we've done a piss poor job of like expressing what we really do to our Somm community.
Yeah.
And when we get to that point, things will grow. Like, we have more fruit than we've ever had. We've got larger producers than we've ever had. Right? You're actually now seeing people producing wines that can compete on a price level, because we don't even get into the whole like quality is one thing, right?
Yeah.
But when you have the infrastructure that these guys have versus the infrastructure that I have, I can't produce this wine like they can for $6 a bottle.
Right.
Or $5 a bottle. I can't
And
do
then
it.
and then sell it,
And
you
then
know,
sell it
wholesale
for $8.
Yeah. And then it go on the shelf for 20 or whatever.
Exactly, right.
You know, you have to make it at what you can make it, and then you can't afford to sell it at wholesale for $8.
Exactly. But if we do a better job inside the state with 100% Texas wines and 100% Texas spirit, not spirits, but spirit.
Yes, spirit.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that we will, that next level of that epicenter will be unstoppable. You get, we got what? We're gonna have 20 million people in the state the next few years, right? You get 10 million people loving and celebrating Texas wines. Those 10 million people traveling around the country. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
You can't, right? If everywhere you go, Texans are going, crap, man, this Viognier is badass.
Yeah.
You know, y'all should try this.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's going to happen. It's going to take time. I mean, I think it's going to be my kids who are going to reap
Who
the
are gonna
benefits of all of
experience
that
it.
stuff. But we don't have, most of us, not all of us, there's a few of us that do, and the ones that are doing it, hats off to them, because it's helping to start that wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most of us don't have the infrastructure that's set up to, you know, sell outside the state.
Sure.
Nor do we want to. Like, I want to produce, you know, I want to produce 5,000 or 6,000 cases within my crew, and us all make enough money to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's really about it. I mean, maybe that's too much of a hippie ethos, but eventually people will they'll search it out, right?
Well, so because I totally agree with you. I think that one of the biggest challenges facing the Texas wine industry right now is Texans, which is funny because it's also our greatest strength. I mean, kind of like you alluded to, the Texas wine industry could very easily survive 100% on Texas wine drinkers. We look forward to the day in which people are traveling to Texas, much like they travel to Napa to taste wine, but we don't need that necessarily. But the fact of the matter still remains is that our biggest challenge is convincing the people from my home city, Dallas, Texas, and, some of the other parts of Houston and San Antonio that, wine in Texas doesn't have to taste like wine from California, and it doesn't have to taste like wine from France. It can be something inherently unique, and that's okay. That doesn't mean good versus bad. And until we can start getting Texans to tell their friends at dinner, or to ask, people in Dallas aren't going to Bob's and asking the sommelier, hey, do you have a bending branch Tannat on the menu, or do you have a Tempranillo from Ab Astris? They're not asking that yet, and they need to be.
But I think people are. But I think our Somm community is very quickly in the place where they squash it, because they are bolstered by a network of books.
Sure.
That they
have been told what's good.
They've been told what's good,
yeah.
Right? Or have been told what they're going to get a great vacation out of if they sell a lot.
Right, sure.
I mean, let's just call
this
is why the Somm community, I am not loved, because I call it what it is. They're a much needed part of our industry. I fully respect the hell out of what they do, because I quite honestly can't do what they do. Like I most of my Somm friends, like, I can't do what they do. Like, I don't taste like they taste, right? I'm a producer. Like, so I taste from the standpoint of, like, this is all wrong.
Yeah.
Like, they did this, they did this.
Yeah, you taste the pieces of an equation in a wine.
Exactly.
Not the flavors and the structure.
Right,
necessarily.
right. And so I totally respect somebody who can, like, call a region, who can call a vintage, madly respect that, right? But at the same time, like, and it's partly on the Texas wine industry, we haven't done the job to educate our Somm community to where they can turn around and say, no, these guys are making badass wine.
So it's so you do think it's an education thing?
100%, it's an education thing. I don't think it's a like a slight thing, or they disagree with us, or they. I mean, because the ones that are out there doing the work, man, like the ones that do love Texas wines, they're our biggest champions.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're going to bat all the time for us, right? And so, I think though that the restaurant world is just not set up for us yet, right? And that's basically because we've been DTC forever, right? We just direct
to consumer.
Sorry,
don't drop wine industry lingo on these folks.
Come on, dude. If they're watching your thing, they know what DTC is, dude.
Maybe
I don't know.
My mom doesn't, and she's one of the only people that watches this. So,
hi, Mom. But no, seriously, like I think that I think that we need to educate again within our own state. If we take the time to educate our own Psalm community, right, to the point where it pisses them off, like to where we're badgering them about how badass we are, right, and we should, because guess who does that? Every distributor, everybody else, they badger them to the point where they are the coolest kid in the room, right? We need to make ourselves, we as the Texas wine industry need to make ourselves the coolest kid in the room.
Sure.
It's just like I've told your family, make yourself the coolest kid in the room, and guess what? People will come.
Yeah.
They'll start to believe it, right?
Yeah.
It's not a real hard equation. You make yourself the coolest kid in the room, and all the other cool kids will want to be there. So if we worked really hard to make ourselves the coolest kid in the room with the Psalm community, very quickly, like in this day and age with social media and information movement, it won't take long at all.
Yeah.
But we have to. It'll be like a wildfire. But we have to stand up and not. We don't need to apologize. Like the whole like, all shucks, we're humble. Well, thanks, we did a great job. No, we need to be like, you know what? That fucking wine, I could stand up next to that California wine all day, and I would take the Pepsi challenge with that any day of the week.
Yeah.
With any Psalm, master, non-master, level 1, win set, whatever, all day, right? And we need to not apologize for being good at what we do.
Yeah.
And it's a little self-deprecating in a little bit, because we're like, as Texans, we're taught to like, you're not supposed to be braggadocious or boastful. You're supposed to just be very humble about, oh shucks, well I just stumbled on it, just worked out.
It worked out.
Just worked out real well. Well, I mean, I got lucky. And this stuff just kind of jumped in the bottle and made itself. Like, fuck, I cried over this wine. I cussed at it. And that's the stuff that we don't tell people, right? And we shouldn't apologize. When a psalm goes, well, I think it's a little, angular. The structure's a little different. We need to push back and say, well, no.
Well, this is why.
Here's why, and this is how we produced it. And we produced it to be that way. Like, you guys wanted something funky and different, right? Don't change the game now that we've given you something funky and different.
Yeah, don't tell me it's not varietally correct after you told me you wanted something that wasn't varietally correct. We don't
want to get on the whole varietally correct.
No, okay, yeah, we don't need to go down that. We don't need to go down that.
It's not from the Mataran, and it's not from Texas, and it's not from Uruguay, and it's not from Napa. Tastes like cab. Sorry, it tastes like a big bold cab because it's super high.
And nobody wants to drink Tanat from Mataran because it takes you 30 years before that's approachable.
Yeah, when your face finally comes back into joint. But yeah, so that whole that's the other thing about Texas, right? A cab here doesn't taste like a cab from anywhere else in the world, right? And I think that's a little, again, education.
Yeah.
Right. We have to educate the people who are tasting wines on a regular basis as to what we're offering, right? Because when you get them in a room, every time I've tasted with a Psalm group, tasted blind, or taken wines out to California with my producer friends and tasted blind, holy shit! I mean, it's constantly like, holy shit! Oh, this is 100% California. This is 100% New World. Like, this is 100%. And you pull the bag out, and they're like, whoa, my God!
Little Judgment of Paris situation.
Well, it happens time and time again.
Yeah.
The Judgment in Paris has happened a zillion times with Texas wines, but in this day and age, there's the machine, right? The thumb won't let that information. Like, David Culkin's won twice in Lyon with Viognier.
Yeah.
But nobody, you don't hear any Psalms coming back to Texas and parading that
championing
around the state. A little bit. I don't want to say completely not, guys. Don't crucify me. But for what it should be, not like the Judgment in Paris was, right? Like, when that happened, that was people lost their mind.
I think it's in the Smithsonian. You know, I think that there's like a newspaper clipping in the Smithsonian with some of the original bottles. So yeah, a little bit more of a serious event like that needs to take place, I think.
So that's my yeah. You got me on a soapbox that I have
Dude,
generally beyond like There's some people that love it, and there's some people that absolutely completely disagree with me, which is the beautiful thing about wine, because like last night in our tasting, we had what, 8 people tasting, right?
8 people tasting.
8 people tasting, and it couldn't be more wildly different from what everybody
picked
up or thought about the wines, or
their rankings. The final tallies. You know, I think that the space between numbers 2 through 5 were all separated by, you know,
I still think your math on one
points.
of those was a little
Dude,
off.
come
That's
on.
a whole
Don't
debate.
even.
We'll get into that
Don't
later.
even. Kelly screwed it up by picking it number 1.
Well, Kelly, she
blew
did.
it.
She blew it.
All right, last question.
Okay.
And then we'll get off of here, and we got some work to do, I'm sure.
Yes, we do.
What besides, fun question.
Okay.
No soapbox here.
Right.
What besides our beautiful Texas wines are you drinking right now? Wine, beer, spirit, non-alcoholic. What's kind of like on your radar right now that you just like can't stop consuming?
I mean, oh man, dude.
And don't tell me you're like I was drink coffee all day long, like give me something entertaining. Yeah, I know. Give me something. Give the people something that they can write down. Say, oh, John Rivenburgh, he likes this. I gotta look into that.
Cheap black coffee. Awesome.
I've got just drums of Folgers at the house.
The better black coffee, cold all day long over ice. But the ice must be bubble crystalled, so it's got to be perfect. You've never seen a bubble crystalled ice? Where it's clear, they bubble the nitrogen through to like bubble all the bubbles out. So
is that the ice they use in like commercials all the time?
Yeah, or like in a mixology bar, they have the fancy ice.
I've seen the big chunks where they chip it off and they like slap it with the shit.
You ever seen the little machines where they bubble this gas through to make so it's super clear like glass?
I don't know, man.
Well, I figured you of all people would know.
I probably have. I just need an example of it.
So I am super smitten with, and it sucks, I can't get them, but I'm like super geeked out over Paquette. Mm-hmm. I am not, contrary to the industry I'm in, I'm not a huge drinker, right? Like I just don't drink a lot. I have other vices. And so...
okay, last question. What are the other vices here?
I can't tell
Major gambling problem.
Shit, I wish. That would be easier to deal with. No, I work a lot. I'm a workaholic.
Yeah, of course.
Like, that's what it is.
Of course.
I work too much, right? And... Paquette. Fantastic. I trailed off. Sorry, Kelly. You might want to leave for this one.
She was way ahead of you.
She's like, all right, out of here. No, so Paquette, super geeked out over Paquette.
Tell them what it is, just because, you know.
Low alcohol. Basically, it is a re-fermentation of pumice. We're basically taking pumice, which is post-fermentation, post-pressed skins and seeds. We add sugar, we add water, we ferment, comes out 6 to 7%. It's super fruity. Color is like neon. It's bright and fresh, and if you bottle it just right, you get some little effervescence in there.
Are you saying this is industry standard or the way that you make it?
Shit, that's just how I figured it. I mean, I gave it a Google.
Gave it a Goog?
I gave it a Google.
So slightly effervescent, not carbed.
No. It's natural. It's fermentation gas. It's
cool.
not. It is not otherwise. Which actually, though, I've been really drinking ours still, like without, like now that we've had some that's like bubbled gas off of it, and I really kind of like it without the gas on it. I like it still.
Okay.
So it's just low alcohol fruit. I mean, like a Vino Volo almost, right? That's super fun for me. I've been lately going back and kind of revisiting some older vintages and some other producers' wines that I haven't had in a while. Like I've been in this I've been completely reinvigorated to what I'm doing in the winery, right? Like,
sure.
So this whole concept of like working with other winemakers, working with other people, it's been very exciting. But if there's one thing, and it just literally just happened in the last like week or weekend, I had a mixologist have me try an old fashioned with cognac. Holy shit, dude! Game changer. Game changer. I drank probably what, Kelly? Like, I don't know.
20 of them.
20 of them over the weekend.
You just said you weren't a big drinker.
How many gallons of brandy old fashioned did I drink over the weekend? But classic preparation. Cuba ice and bitters.
Same thing.
Cuba ice.
Orange.
Yep. Cherry maybe.
Cherry, muddled,
Okay.
sugar cube.
Yep.
Little bitters.
Sure.
Orange bitters.
And then cognac.
Cognac. Dude, it'll set you free, bro.
It's the blue pill.
It is the blue pill, dude. I was like, what in the world? Like, I had one, and it was like, oh, that was the fastest $20 drink I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, sure.
And then I was like, yes.
Who made it for you?
I was at, oh, crap. Peggy's on the Green. In Bernie, Texas. Yeah, Peggy's on the Green. Fantastic restaurant. Yeah, I had it there.
Tight.
And then, what else did I had basically one or two. I didn't have 20. I had one or two at every location we were at over the weekend.
I might have to make one. I don't have a cognac of that. I have Armagnac. I'm an Armagnac guy, so maybe I'll make one at the house with Armagnac. It's similar, you know.
That cognac, I mean, it was just like, it took the
fruity character of it
up.
Blew it up?
Yeah, but it took the smokiness off, which was kind of cool. But it still tasted like an old fashioned.
Sure. Well, yeah, same kind of backbone, but just a little, you know, the flavor profile.
So that'll probably be for the next couple months my drink.
You'll overdo it on that.
And then I'll be like,
and
then I'll be like, I hate this thing. I don't let me drink it again.
Nobody ever make me one of these
Don't
again.
ever make me one of these again.
Don't even look at it.
Yeah, but I mean, truth be told, man, I get home at the end of the day and
pop a bottle.
No. I don't want to drink wine like hell. I don't want to. Sorry. You know, you spend all day like
around it,
blending it, tweaking it, changing it, tasting it.
It's not the first thing you want to drink.
It's not the first thing I want to drink. First thing I drink when I get home is generally Scotch. I pour Woodford over ice and sip on that while making dinner. Then I pour another one.
Yeah, right.
And then I go to bed.
Before you know it.
Did you turn the stove off? No. But yeah, those are the things I'm drinking. Like the Piquette. Well, like we're gonna have some killer Piquettes. I'm embarrassed to say that I love the White Claw. I'm a girl drink drunk. Yeah, I like my fruity. Like if it comes with an umbrella and it's got like something. Like,
see, I'm not one to be snobby about the things that I'm drinking, especially when I'm like, there's a cooler full of them and I'm on a boat or something. But White Claw just has a taste to it that just doesn't sit right with me.
I like seltzer. I'm a big Topo Chico guy. So like,
well, yeah, for sure. But see, White Claw to me tastes like Topo Chico that has been set out for way too long with like a raspberry just like rotting inside of it.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, the White Claw lobbyists, but you know, I don't know who owns White Claw.
We're gonna make a. You're
gonna make a White Claw.
Well, it's not gonna be White Claw.
Well, you probably will make it taste a lot. I mean, yeah, there's a big difference in Miller Lite and a craft a Pilsner. You know,
Mike and I are gonna make a Texas seltzer called Texas Tiger. You're gonna have West Texas watermelon.
Yes.
South Texas citric.
Okay, so you've already got all the names. You've already got all the names.
Yeah, the marketing's done.
So yeah, this is one of those things where like the product came after the marketing.
100%. We're gonna Braca cut because it all came to vision about 2:00 in the morning in my kitchen.
Makes sense.
A couple weeks ago. Thanks for the wines, by the way.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. Well, let's wrap it up with plug something. You wanna tell people to come visit Kerrville Hills or.
Yeah, of course.
Tell them to go to Vintner's Hideaway and buy your bottles. And...
Of course. Let's see. If you make it out to the Hill Country, come and see us. Kerrville Hills Winery, 3600 Fredericksburg Road, Kerrville, Texas. If you take the drive up the newly renamed Highway 16, Rivenburgh Avenue, you can make your stops at Augusta Vin and Formula 1851 and Slate Mill, and make your way into town to the Vintner's Hideaway. We carry several different really small, low-key producers. Then, jump in your car, grab some lunch, make your way out to Texas Heritage on your way to Abastris in High Texas.
Wow.
Visit High America, pull a U-turn, and come back to Kerrville to see us again on your way back down. It's a good day, I promise.
Please have a driver for all
Please have a driver.
Or spit your wine.
Drink responsibly, please. If not, Mike Nelson, damn glad to meet you. Sorry. I couldn't help it, dude.
All right. That's John Rivenburgh. I'm Mitchell Sherrock. Thanks for joining us today, y'all. We'll catch you later.
Salute.